Josephine Airnes, and I have the opportunity to look independently at the data collected from the pupils in this wiki project. The data for the project collected from primary pupils aged 6 to 11 and secondary pupils aged 11 to 13. And they came from 3 different areas in Scotland: Perth and Kinross, West Lothian and the Shetland Isles. I hope you'll excuse my crib sheet, but I did only see the questionnaires 2 weeks prior to doing this. First question that I looked at, I chose the questions really for interest, because of course there are several questions on the questionnaire for the pupils. But the one that I'm looking at just now is how primary pupils thought about working on a science topic with children in other schools. Those were given the opportunity to choose from several answers. So primary children all thought that this was going to be fun and exciting before the project. The project in this case refers to forensic science, the lessons that were to do with the project. After the lessons, 2 schools thought it was even more exciting than they thought before. The response scary is interesting because both schools who mention it are less scared after the forensic science lessons. And one school wasn't scared at all. So children are funny, aren't they, when they answer these questions? The same question then, referring to secondary pupils, there were fewer answers to scary in this. When they write their answers, they indicate that they liked listening to other children, they liked taking part with other children on the wiki. So this might be something that we could look into. The question that I chose from the questionnaire is working with scientists. Now I'm sure we all know what children think about scientists, men in white coats usually. And so I looked then at scary again. And however, here the children reckon it's quite exciting and going to be fun, so that's reassuring, isn't it, for scientists out there? But all remarked scary pre and post survey, so maybe scientists need to look at themselves and see themselves as others see us. Schools gave fewer answers for hard work, because originally one of the responses that they could choose was whether it was hard work or not. And initially they thought it was hard work, but less so after the forensic science lesson. So maybe that was because they had had the opportunity of seeing science and scientists on the screen. The other question that I'm going to look at is about, do the children view learning facts and figures as part of science or forensic science? They answered that they didn't think that they were learning facts and figures, pupils. The 2 schools answered it was never about learning facts and figures, and I thought this was kind of extraordinary, because when you read what they were writing, they all mentioned facts, for example, that fingerprints are made of whorls and arches. So we have to wonder what they think about learning, don't we? The other question that I'm going to have a look at is one where we're asking whether the children had the opportunity to work with other children from other classes. And in Shetland, I think given the setup of the school, given the smallness of size and the rural aspect of it, yes, they were nearly always working with children from other classes. But in another school, they had fewer responses for this, so it didn't seem to be something that they did very often prior to the forensic science lessons. However, after the forensic science lesson, the response for always rose significantly, and particularly in the Perth and Kinross area. Looking now for the same question in secondary pupils, given the setup of secondary schools, one may expect the response never to appear. And this was the case. However, it's of interest to note that all schools answered with fewer never after the forensic science lessons. So I wonder if that was something to do with the wiki project setup. Question that I'm going to have a look at with you is if in science and forensic science lessons, if you arrived in the crime scene first, what would you do? Well, pre the survey, that's the lessons concerning science, then they seemed to look at areas that they may have seen on television or read about. For example, look for clues or ask for witnesses or phone the police. Only secondary pupils, they were the only ones that suggested taking photographs of the scene or asking about the victim and their name and the care of the victim. So the older children are looking more to the victim, whereas the primary children weren't doing that. However, post-survey, the examples related to their experiences in the forensic science lessons. So they were talking about skills that they had learned, which is really interesting too. The final question that I'm going to have a look at with you is the post-survey, what did they enjoy and what did they learn? And in this one, I'd like to leave you with the overhead and let you read and peruse those answers for yourselves. Thank you for listening.